I'm here with Jake Seitz, and I'm going to talk to him about the functions of the riparian zones on campus. How are you today, Jake?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
Okay, well, let's get started here. So, Jake, do you believe fertilizers placed near the Red Cedar River will run off into it?
Um, yeah, I think that they would run off into it because I feel like the fertilizer would go into the soil, and then during rain or any type of drought, maybe then the soil and or the fertilizer would leak through the soil into like the
Groundwater?
yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
So, you do think it would have an effect on the water quality on campus?
Yeah, I think it would.
Okay. All right. What do you think could work as a natural barrier to stopping these chemicals, such as pesticides, fertilizers, everything we use on campus here?
A natural barrier, I would say, maybe just put in some type of wall or something in between the bank of the river and like the grass, I guess, where the fertilizer's coming from. Maybe something like that.
Like a wall that goes into the ground or something like that?
Yeah, and as far as natural, maybe like lots of trees or something.
Trees, okay. Yep. So what types of plants or trees do you typically see near the areas along the river?
In the areas along the river, I typically see long, tall weeds, trees, grassy areas, just kind of swampish looking type things.
Mm-hmm. And do you notice a lot of it is developed? The growth around the rivers, do you notice it's developed with grass, unnatural plants that were put there by humans?
It seems that maybe there could have been some plants and trees that were put there man-made rather than just all naturally grown for some reason.
Such as the like the Sanford Natural Area. Do you know what that is?
No, I do not.
It's the area that's not been touched. It's like it's like a trail that goes in the back. That would be all natural. So, yes. Okay. So these areas that we've been speaking of, these are known as riparian zones. Do you have any idea what those are, or not really sure what the word riparian means?
I'm not sure what riparian means, but what's based off what we've just been talking about, I'm guessing something with banks and with the river, some type of.
Yes, yes. It has to do. Actually, I won't tell you exactly what it has to do, but what functions do riparian zones, as what we were just talking, from what you know, what do they act as on our campus? Like, what functions do they have? Would you think?
Okay. Before this interview, I would not know, but based off what we've been talking about, I'm guessing that riparian zones are some sort of thing that help make the waters or river cleaner, maybe, or help keep it more natural. Some type of plant growth or something like that, maybe. Based off that, I just had to say like maybe some type of trees or long, like those weeds, maybe something to do with the barrier
Yes.
or
Yes.
something like that. A natural form, maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe
And
man-made.
they also do have other functions. Do you have any idea what those are? Besides
Other
water,
than what I
besides
just
water
said,
quality and.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. All right. Next question here. Do you think riparian zones that have not been developed work more effectively from what we've talked about, water quality, and why?
Do I think
They work
that
more
rip-
effectively, as in areas where there's just trees, wildlife, leaves, not been touched by humans. Do you think they would do a better job at their function?
So a natural over a man-made.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna say yes because it's more. Usually, sometimes it's better if nature runs its course. I mean, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it knows what it's doing more than what a human would put in and falsify for nature, possibly.
Mm-hmm. And do you think there's negative impacts from our development here on campus using pesticides, fertilizers along the banks of the Red Cedar River? Towards from a water quality aspect, do you think these fertilizers?
Okay, in a water quality aspect, I would say probably because the fertilizer, it seems, would just run through the soil and down into the river, which might cause contamination. But I'm sure that the pesticides in that and fertilization maybe help the grass grow around.
Oh, yes. Now, as you're walking around campus, do you notice more grass or trees near the river? Do you notice the grass going all the way to the riverbank, or do you notice trees right along the riverbank?
I tend to notice more trees along
Yes.
the riverbank.
They actually tend to leave the areas right next to it, as we were talking about, to keep water quality, if that makes sense to you.
That's-
Yes. Okay. So riparian zones. How do you think they filter the water
Okay.
from nitrogen or phosphorus? How would you assume that they actually filter it out? How would these
Um,
plants do that?
I'm guessing maybe using some sort of some type of maybe different cycles that certain plants use, as in I don't know, some type of Krebs cycle or something
Yes.
like that, Calvin cycle, and that might produce just like CO2 or energy and stuff like that, H2O, which might be cleaner than the water already coming in through with the fertilizer.
And do you have any idea how these riparian zones would work to stop erosion, slow erosion along the banks with trees and such instead of a developed area?
I'd say maybe with the trees and such, then you have the ability for them to grow and elongate, rather than them just like a sharp thing man-made would just probably just break off, and the trees and stuff can more grow and push back rather than just having erosion just slide down.
Very good. All right. Well, last question here. Do you know what a riparian zone is exactly? Like, what would your knowledge be on a riparian zone here on campus before this interview?
Before this interview, I would have no idea what a riparian zone is. I've never heard that term in my life, but after this interview, I'm thinking I have a little bit better understanding of what a riparian zone might be.
Okay, Jake. Thank you for partaking in this interview. I was just trying to determine how knowledgeable my peers are to riparian zones on campus. Thank you.
No problem.